General Tso's is a food court classic. It's crispy, it's crunchy, it's sour, it costs $5. When you're 16 and you're at the mall, totally works. But I'm a grown up now, people. I drink white wine for fun, and I pay my taxes. I need something more. I'll be real, and this is gonna make me sound like a total turd, but I don't really eat mall food anymore, and General Tso's is like the crystalline definition of mall food. It's too sweet, it's like incredibly salty and pretty goopy. Like, it's just a general rule of thumb, it's goopy. And it doesn't have to be this way. It can be real food, and we can definitely make it at home. General Tso has been languishing under heat lamps in the malls for years, and all we gotta do is just pay a little bit of attention. We gotta hit those details, we gotta use some real ingredients, and we can make something nice. It's as simple as that, and where we're gonna start is with the chicken. We're gonna start with 1 pound of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. To build our marinade, we're gonna need 3 tablespoons mirin, 3 tablespoons soy sauce, 3 tablespoons cornstarch, and 1/4 teaspoon baking soda. Before we mix that up though, we're gonna cut our chicken. And this is gonna be about bite-sized pieces here. Because we're shallow frying this later, we need something that's gonna cook fast, and smaller pieces is optimal for that. I'd say about 1-inch cubes is ideal. Once we're cut up, we can grab the marinade ingredients and in a medium bowl, mix all those together. We're gonna toss our chicken around in that and let it sit in the fridge for about 15 minutes while we get the rest of our prep done. I've taken the liberty of adding some much needed vegetables to this classic. I think more often than not, we're pushing barely cooked pieces of broccoli to the side when we get takeout, and I don't love how that sticky sauce saturates the top of the floret in most takeout, so I grabbed some broccolini, and this stuff was on sale. As you can see, it's all sprouted and yellow, and that's totally fine for old B-boy. By the way, look how totally rad my hair looks in this video. I look like a tiger beet who got rejected. Anyways, we're gonna cut the florets and then roughly run our knife through the stems. All we need to do here is cut this broccoli into pieces that are gonna cook roughly in about the same amount of time. Once we're cut, we're gonna set those aside and grab our bunch of green onions. All we need to do with these is just rough chop them into 1.5-inch batons. If I'm thinking about it, charred scallions definitely scream Chinese takeout. These are a little bit of an unsung hero here, and they definitely bring you into the nostalgia zone. When you bite into a smoky charred onion, whether you know it or not, it's just like the base flavor of a lot of wok cooking, and that kind of hits us right where we want to go. And that's just an important part, is like, what's the food memory here? What's the experience we're trying to gain by eating this dish? And getting these charred scallions in there is definitely going to put us in that zone. For the sauce, we're going to need 4 tablespoons sugar and 1 tablespoon cornstarch mixed, 3 tablespoons mirin, 2 tablespoons vinegar, I'm using rice vinegar here, 4 garlics, and about 3 inches of fresh ginger, 2 tablespoons sesame oil, preferably toasted, 2 tablespoons stock or water, 3 tablespoons soy sauce, and 2 tablespoons sambal or sriracha. First thing to prep this sauce is grating our garlic and ginger with a box grater. You'll notice I'm not peeling it, and conventional wisdom says peeling ginger is absolutely necessary. I don't like to peel ginger, so I'm not going to do that. And in my experience, it's so far so good. After we've pulped our ginger and garlic with a grater, we're going to set that aside, and then we're just going to stir all of our wet ingredients together, including the sugar and cornstarch. The only thing to pay attention to here is that we don't want any clumps of cornstarch. It's going to be a little bit tricky to work those out later in the pan. Before we cook the sauce, we're going to grab our chicken and coat it for the pan fry we're going to be doing in a minute. For that dredge, we're going to need a 1/2 teaspoon baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon salt, a 1/2 teaspoon cornstarch or potato starch, and a 1/2 cup rice flour or AP flour. Lauren's gluten-free, so we always use rice flour, but traditionally in Asia, they usually use something like rice flour just because they don't really grow a lot of good wheat there. Nothing like our American 14% bread basket, feed the world type stuff. We'll whisk that to combine, and then working in small batches, we're gonna add our chicken in and toss it around. Make sure it's evenly coated before we add our next round. I usually go about 4 or 5 pieces at a time here. Once we have all of our chicken evenly coated, we're gonna move them over to a sheet tray and hold these until we're ready to fry. If there's some pieces that aren't fully coated right now, we're gonna throw those back into the bowl and press our leftover pebbles into it. Every piece should have a good coating and be covered with these little craggy bits. This is the stuff, like I said, that makes that chicken intensely crisp. So don't leave this stuff sitting in the bowl. If you can get it attached to the chicken in some way, definitely take the time to do it. So the chicken is figured out, the veg is cut, we're gonna get to the cooking part of this cooking show. We're gonna start by heating a large non-stick or cast iron pan over medium heat and pouring about 1 tablespoon of sesame oil. Be careful, as toasted sesame oil burns pretty easy at low temperatures, so medium-high is about as high as we wanna go. Once we've got some nicely heated oil, into the pan goes our ginger and garlic. This is where we gain most of our edge on this newer version from the old one. The super fresh cutting ginger and garlic bring this sauce to a certain clarity and bring a certain certain aroma that's just super exceptional. The cornstarch and sugar are gonna work together to thicken the sauce and finish cooking out the ginger and garlic. Use a rubber spatula to gauge the thickness. We definitely don't want a gloppy, overly thick sauce, so 1 tablespoon of cornstarch is pretty reserved. When you drag your rubber spatula through this sauce, it should hold a little bit of a gap, just like this. That means our sauce is getting really close. We're gonna taste it. It tastes pretty good. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna set it aside. So that being said, we're gonna wipe out our pan that had the sauce and we're gonna keep it rolling over high heat. This time we're gonna add in about 1 to 2 tablespoons of neutral oil. This means canola, grapeseed, something like that, high smoke point stuff, but no olive oil. And then we're gonna toss in our broccolini. We're gonna season it with salt. We're gonna pan roast this stuff on high heat for about 2 minutes. Once we've gotten a little bit of char, we've steamed up the broccoli a little bit, we're gonna throw in our green onions and we're gonna saute that up in a little bit of fresh oil and a little bit of salt for about 2 more minutes. We definitely don't want this stuff cooked all the way at this point. It's gonna steam in the bowl when we take it off the heat. So take it to about 70% right now. Make sure it has a little bit of snap left in before we take it off. We're gonna set it aside, we're gonna wipe out the pan and we'll return it to high heat. We're gonna add in about 1 inch of a neutral oil here and heat it to 350 degrees. This is my obligatory disclaimer here. Be careful when cooking with hot oil. Remove the kids from underfoot, put them in the other room, and pay attention. We're gonna shallow fry our chicken in 2 batches. Since we made our chicken small on purpose earlier, this is gonna be no sweat. It's gonna cook up super fast, probably about 3 to 4 minutes total. Keep an eye on the pieces while they're in the frying pan to make sure we get an even golden brown and nothing gets too dark. If you wanted, you could probably add a little bit more than a pound of chicken at the start of this recipe, and that's just to accommodate snack time. I probably had about a 1/4 pound of chicken during this snack time and it was delicious and fun, and you definitely shouldn't miss out on that. Once all my chicken is fried, I'm gonna set it aside. I'm gonna put the oil into a container to cool, something that won't melt. I just wanna get this out of the way and let it cool off in a safe place. Disposing this stuff is never fun to talk about either. I usually just throw it away and I'm not proud of it, but if you know like a hippie dude who has a biodiesel van, maybe give him a call. I don't know, what do you guys do with this stuff? Let me know down below in the comments. So all of our food is prepped. All we need to do is assemble. Wipe out our pan, return it to high heat, and throw in our chicken nugs first. I want the majority of the sauce here to be sitting on the breading of the chicken, not on the vegetables. So we're gonna start there. So we're gonna glaze this chicken to get it well coated. Then we're gonna add in our broccoli and onions. At this point, we're gonna give it a toss, 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 and taste it. Does it make you feel a little bit crazy? It definitely should. It's crispy, it's sour, it's sweet, spicy, and it's razor sharp from that ginger and garlic. It looks good. I've got some steamed rice in the cooker. Let's sit down and eat some. I honestly think that some of you guys might go insane from eating this. It's crispy, it's gingery, sweet, sour, salty. It's a little spicy from that sambal, and it is crisp. People will recognize that this tastes like takeout Chinese food, but the fact that it's like gingery as all get out, that like really hits you. I've eaten, I'm not kidding, like 20 pieces of fried chicken leading up to this, and I'm still like starving for this dish. So that's it. General Tso's at home, a definite possibility. I hope this recipe inspires you to give it a try. Maybe next time you want to do something fun, have a little Chinese takeout night at home, DIY style, get some ice cold Asian beers, rent Blade Runner, the director's cut, or the final cut. Which is the best cut of Blade Runner? The Ridley Scott cut? If you know what the best cut of Blade Runner is, comment down below. And if you're getting some value here, hit that red subscribe down below, and right next to it's a bell. Turn that on for notifications. That kind of keeps you up to date with what we're doing here and make sure you never miss a vid. We appreciate you guys showing up to watch these videos. Thank you so much for your time and attention. We'll see you next time. This is gonna shock you guys, I know. But I'm not really a mall food guy. This is gonna shock you all, but I'm not really a mall food guy. General Tso's at the mall is bleh, barf. Hate it.